Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. You're about to discover truths about attraction that very few men ever get to hear. I'm talking about the kind of understanding that transforms the way women perceive you, the kind of insight that turns you from just another guy into someone unforgettable, someone who lingers in her mind long after you've left the room. Here's the thing. Most men are walking around blind to the subtle cues women give every single day. And I don't mean the obvious ones like smiling or laughing. I mean the deeper, almost invisible triggers that make her brain subconsciously gravitate toward you. Women notice more than you think. They feel the energy you bring, the confidence you radiate, and the calm control you have over your own life. If you've ever felt that a woman lost interest for no reason, it wasn't random. It was a tiny misalignment in your energy, in the way you carried yourself, or in the subtle choices you made in conversation. Being the man she can't stop thinking about doesn't start with your looks or your money. It starts with your presence. Presence is magnetic. Presence is silent power. Presence is the kind of thing that she notices without realizing she's noticing it. And here's the secret that separates ordinary men from unforgettable men. It's not about impressing her with words. It's about making her feel something deeper, something primal, unspoken, and compelling. When a woman feels this, her mind will replay your interactions, your voice, even the way you moved your hand across the table again and again. But most men sabotage themselves without even knowing it. Nervous energy, over-explaining, trying too hard to get approval. These are all killers of attraction. Women are wired to detect authenticity instinctively. If you are authentic, grounded, and in control of your own world, you bypass her conscious filters. She won't just like you, she'll start thinking about you when she's alone, in the shower, walking down the street, scrolling through her phone, and it will feel impossible for her to shake the memory of your energy, your calm, your confidence. If you think about it, attraction isn't something you can manufacture with clever lines or superficial gestures. It's something you embody. It's a reflection of who you are when you aren't performing for anyone. That's what leaves her mind replaying your moments together like a film she can't stop watching. And once you understand that, everything changes. Your entire approach to women, conversations, even casual interactions will shift. Let me tell you something most men will never understand. The moment a woman starts thinking about you constantly isn't about what you say, it's about what you make her feel. Her mind is a battlefield of emotions, memories, and desires, and the men she can't stop thinking about are the ones who stir something she didn't even know was there. The subtle triggers that ignite this obsession are invisible, almost imperceptible, but once you master them, you become unforgettable. One of the most powerful triggers is confidence, but not the arrogant, loud kind, the kind that women can sense without a word. True confidence is silent. It's in the way you carry yourself in a room, the way your gaze meets hers without hesitation, the way you speak slowly and deliberately, choosing every word like it matters. When she senses this, her subconscious begins to mark you as different, as someone rare, someone worth thinking about. And here's the key. She won't consciously admit it, she won't tell her friends, but her brain will replay moments with you like a private movie she can't stop watching. Another trigger is unpredictability. Women are wired to notice patterns, but when you introduce small, unexpected layers to your personality, subtle humor, an unusual opinion, a confident action that catches her off guard, she begins to pay attention. She starts analyzing your behavior, wondering what you'll do next, craving the next interaction because it feels electric, alive, and stimulating. You are no longer just another guy. You become a puzzle her mind can't resist. Emotional depth is equally critical. Most men skim the surface, focusing on superficial charm, but when you reveal subtle glimpses of your inner world, the values you live by, the quiet passions that drive you, your ability to handle pressure without losing control, you create an emotional imprint in her mind. It's not about oversharing, it's about layering experiences that make her feel safe, intrigued, and emotionally invested all at once. And here's where it gets fascinating. When you combine confident presence, unpredictability, and emotional depth, her brain begins a chemical process without her realizing it. Dopamine spikes, curiosity increases, and she starts associating you with a sense of reward, excitement, and emotional stimulation. She thinks about you during ordinary moments, connecting the dots, replaying memories, and unconsciously building anticipation for the next encounter. You become a magnetic force she can't explain, a memory she can't erase. Once you understand this, your interactions shift. You stop chasing validation, you stop trying to be liked. Instead, you begin to command attention naturally, becoming the man women subconsciously mark as unforgettable. This is how the men who linger in a woman's mind operate. They create experiences, feelings, and impressions that are impossible to ignore. And once you master this, she doesn't just think about you, she needs to. Now, let's get into what most men completely overlook: the way energy, not words, dictates whether a woman can't stop thinking about you. You see, attraction operates below the surface of conversation, below the conscious mind, in the realm of instinct, emotion, and subtle signals. Women are experts at reading energy. They sense tension, calm, dominance, and insecurity in milliseconds. And the men who linger in their thoughts are those whose energy create a psychological imprint they can't shake. Think about the last time someone made a lasting impression on you. It probably wasn't what they said. It was the way they carried themselves, the intensity or calmness they radiated, the way they made the environment feel. That same principle applies to women. Your energy is the silent language that tells her, without words, that you are different, rare, and worth remembering. When your energy is grounded, controlled, and subtly commanding, her mind starts taking note long after the interaction ends. There's a powerful technique that most men fail to recognize: controlled scarcity. Women are wired to value what is not always available. When you don't respond instantly, when you maintain your independence, and when you move through life without needing her validation, she notices. It's not manipulation, it's an alignment of your behavior with natural human psychology. Scarcity in presence amplifies desirability. Suddenly, she's thinking about you in moments when she shouldn't, wondering what you're doing, imagining how it feels to be with you, and replaying your interactions. Another critical aspect is emotional contrast. Most men show one energy: anxious, excited, or overly accommodating. But when you fluctuate subtly, calmly composed in some moments, quietly playful in others, deeply engaging at the right time, you create a rhythm her brain cannot ignore. Emotional contrast triggers curiosity and anticipation. It's why the memory of you surfaces randomly in her mind, why she laughs at things you said hours later, why she remembers the way you moved or glanced across the room. It's the dance between predictability and surprise that makes you unforgettable. Then there's the power of reflection. Women subconsciously mirror the men who leave impressions on them. When you demonstrate composure, confidence, and subtle dominance, she begins to internalize these qualities as desirable. She may not realize it consciously, but she starts evaluating herself against your energy. She starts replaying moments in her mind, analyzing them, imagining how being around you feels like an upgrade to her life. This is the core of obsession. Not infatuation, not lust, but a deep psychological imprint that lingers without conscious effort. Finally, remember, you are not trying to trick her or perform. You're embodying a state of being that naturally draws attention and curiosity. Every gesture, every word, every moment you own your energy becomes a seed planted in her mind. And the beauty is, once planted, these seeds grow without you having to do a thing. She will start thinking about you constantly without realizing why. That is the invisible power of presence. Let's talk about the behaviors and subtle conversational patterns that make a woman's thoughts fixate on you. Most men approach interactions with the wrong mindset. They focus on impressing, winning approval, or closing the deal. That's why so many men feel invisible or forgettable. The men women can't stop thinking about don't try to impress. They engage in ways that make her feel something profound, and that feeling, it's impossible to shake. First, pay attention to the art of listening. I'm not talking about nodding and saying, uh-huh. I mean truly listening with presence, curiosity, and subtle empathy. When you respond in ways that show you genuinely understand, you trigger an emotional release in her. She feels seen, validated, and safe, even if she wouldn't consciously admit it. This creates a mental loop where her brain revisits your words and actions, replaying them like a film because they made her feel recognized in ways no one else has. Next, mastery of subtle teasing and playful challenge is critical. Lightly challenging her ideas or poking fun in a way that is confident, never aggressive, signals that you're not desperate for validation. Women are wired to notice this. It creates tension, the right kind of tension that keeps her engaged. Her subconscious begins marking you as someone interesting, someone whose attention is valuable. She will find herself analyzing everything you said, recalling moments where she felt amused, intrigued, or stimulated. That replay in her mind, that's obsession starting to form. Another behavioral trigger is controlled vulnerability. Most men hide their inner world or overshare without purpose, but revealing small, intentional glimpses of your thoughts, dreams, or challenges establishes intimacy while maintaining an air of mystery. This contrast, the balance between strength and vulnerability, creates a magnetic pull. She will remember these moments, replay them in private, and associate them with a sense of emotional depth she rarely experiences. Physical and nonverbal cues are equally important. Simple gestures, leaning in at the right moment, maintaining calm eye contact, slight mirroring of her body language, communicate confidence, attentiveness, and compatibility at a subconscious level. Women notice these signals instinctively. They don't need to label it, they just feel it, and the feeling lingers, creating subtle dopamine spikes that her brain interprets as excitement and connection. Finally, leave her wanting more. End interactions on a high note without overstaying your welcome or giving away too much predictability. Absence combined with high-quality presence creates a tension her subconscious cannot ignore. She begins to anticipate your next move, replaying previous moments in her mind, imagining what it will feel like to interact with you again. This isn't manipulation, it's the natural result of being the man who embodies confidence, emotional depth, and subtle unpredictability. Now, let's address something most men overlook entirely. Your mindset and lifestyle are as powerful, if not more powerful, than anything you say or do. Women don't just respond to individual interactions, they respond to the overall narrative of your life. The men she can't stop thinking about aren't just confident in moments, they are magnetic because their lives exude purpose, independence, and subtle dominance. This energy seeps into every interaction, leaving a psychological imprint she can't shake. Start with purpose. A man with goals, routines, and passions radiates stability and self-possession. When you show that your happiness doesn't depend on her or anyone else, it signals to her brain that you are rare, valuable, and high status. Not in a material sense, but in an emotional and psychological sense. She notices, she observes, and then she starts replaying every interaction, seeing it through the lens of someone who has control of their world, someone she can't help but admire and think about. Next, cultivate selective social energy. Spend time with people who energize you, invest in yourself, and maintain boundaries that communicate self-respect. Women instinctively sense men who are surrounded by meaningful connections versus those who chase attention from everyone. The more she notices that your time, energy, and presence are limited and valued, the more she begins to mentally prioritize you. Suddenly, you occupy more of her thoughts simply because she perceives you as scarce, yet desirable. The mindset of calm detachment is another subtle magnet. Women are wired to notice emotional volatility. A man who remains composed under pressure, who doesn't overreact to minor inconveniences, demonstrates inner stability. This is magnetic. Her subconscious reads this as safety and strength. When she experiences this energy, her mind begins revisiting moments where you displayed it, craving that sense of reassurance and admiration. She doesn't consciously track it, her brain just remembers over and over. Self-mastery is essential. Physical fitness, emotional regulation, intellectual growth, these are not just self-improvement points, they are the signals of a man who invests in himself. And women notice these signals subliminally. A man who is disciplined, composed, and invested in his own growth becomes someone she cannot stop thinking about because he embodies an ideal she unconsciously desires: stability, strength, and subtle mystery all in one package. Finally, maintain intrigue. Don't make your life an open book. Keep her curious. Curiosity fuels mental replay. When she wonders what you're doing, how you think, and what motivates you, her mind is actively engaged with you, even when you're absent. The combination of purpose, selective energy, calm detachment, self-mastery, and intrigue transforms you from just another man into someone she can't forget, someone whose presence lingers long after you walk away. Now, let's uncover the final layer: how to make her obsession not just happen, but last. Most men think attraction is fleeting, a spark that ignites and fades. The truth is, lasting mental fixation is about creating a combination of emotional intensity, psychological intrigue, and personal resonance. It's about leaving imprints in her subconscious that she cannot erase, no matter how hard she tries. One of the most powerful tools is emotional association. Every interaction you have with her should evoke a feeling: laughter, excitement, curiosity, calm, desire. It doesn't matter if she can't articulate why she's drawn to you, she will replay those feelings in her mind. Over time, her brain associates you with these high-value emotional states. She doesn't just think about you, she experiences you every time she recalls a memory, and that repetition deepens obsession. Next, let tension and contrast do their work. Never be fully predictable and never fully available. A man who is too present or too consistent risks fading into the background. Subtle unpredictability, your energy, your responses, your availability creates a neurological loop in her mind. Dopamine spikes each time she interacts with you or remembers something about you, reinforcing the habit of thinking about you. She will find herself analyzing, imagining, and replaying scenarios, and she won't even realize why. Your lifestyle and priorities amplify this effect. The more she sees that you are engaged in a life she can't control, pursuing goals, cultivating passions, and mastering yourself, the more her mind treats you as rare and valuable. Scarcity is magnetic. Autonomy is irresistible. By living intentionally, you ensure that her obsession isn't just temporary, it becomes a mental echo that follows her into her daily life. Finally, subtle reinforcement is key. Small gestures of attention, carefully timed words, and confident presence reinforce the memory imprints you've already created. You don't overdo it, you don't chase. Instead, you provide glimpses of connection that trigger her subconscious loops, keeping her engaged mentally and emotionally. She begins to associate you with reward, excitement, and a rare sense of emotional alignment. Here's the ultimate truth: being the man she can't stop thinking about is not about manipulation, pickup lines, or shallow tactics. It's about becoming a man whose energy, mindset, and presence leave a deep psychological imprint. When you embody confidence, emotional depth, calm detachment, purposeful living, and subtle intrigue, she will not just notice you, she will remember you, replay you, and think about you compulsively. You become unforgettable because you operate on a level beyond words, beyond superficial charm, beyond anyone she's met before. And once that happens, nothing else matters.